I'm Bill Bice. I'm CEO at BillingQ ZebraWorks. I'm here with Ken,
Hello,
who loves
CRO
to do,
at
who loves to
BillingQ.
do really long intros for himself. We've been doing this for working in this area for a long time. Love getting to work with our pro law firms again. We're going to talk about how valuable that has been in developing this product that we now integrate with a bunch of different systems. Just a quick reminder on the Q&A button. Please press that. Ask us questions as we go. I'm just going to dive in and give some context. I'm not entirely sure why Ken gets to do the fun part of showing the product off, but he's really good at that. So we're here to talk about invoices to cash. This is our mascot, Bandito Zeke. He's great at uncovering found money for firms, which is really the whole point of this thing. Is how do we not only save time in your billing and collections process, but how do we turn that into better cash flow? And so that's exactly how we think about this in terms of a cash flow relay in the firm. And it starts with the things that we did back in the days when we created ProLaw, of tracking time and doing pre-bill edits and finalizing those bills. There's been a lot of effort put into the first three stages of the cash flow relay. What we're focused on is finishing that job with invoices to cash, this rather crucial last stage where you actually get paid, and everything that happens from when the bill is finalized to when your client pays you. And the stats that I love to use to illustrate just why we need to be focusing in on this is that we have ever increasing AR, ever increasing work in process. Most firms have dealt with this by increasing staff, and that's the plan going forward. We'd like to bring a much better tool set. It's not that there aren't things in this area, it's just that we are the first to take a holistic approach to invoices to cash from start to finish. And so if we take like the pieces of invoices to cash and dive into that a little bit deeper, it starts with bill delivery. So we're talking on the PDF bills side. So you generate that bill, and now you need to deliver it to the client. Almost nobody uses ProLaw's emailing feature. Doesn't get better if you go to a different system, by the way. You still end up doing the same thing, which is going into Outlook and hitting new email and sending each one of those out. And this is really all about the exceptions, all of those instructions that you're putting on the pre-bill or tracking in a spreadsheet, or all the things you've got to watch to make sure that those bills are getting delivered the right way every month. And it's all of the weird things that we do because we're in a professional client services environment. And then that leads us to AR notices. So we take advantage of the setup for that, apply the differences that we need for AR notices. Workflow automation is how we put that to work around both of these things. Then we do central tracking around the collections process so that we know where we're at, and everybody in the firm, to the extent you want to give them access to it, can know where we're at. And then the last stage is getting paid. And so having a really great client experience where it's easy for your clients to pay you. They have access to the information that they need to see. The famous, I don't have a copy of that, referring to the bill that they may or may not want to pay. We really want to turn this into a more collaborative process and just make that a great experience for your clients. So that's the context and the overview. And Ken, if you would take over and actually show us how this stuff works.
I would love to, and I love it when you do that part because You explain it so well, and then all I have to do is match the software to the words that you've just said and share as well. So let me do that one more time. There we are. Can you see that okay, Bill?
You're coming through.
I think when I'm with ProLaw folks, I just feel so comfortable. I don't have to do this long introduction. So I enjoy it. I love what we're doing in the invoices to cash space. The what we're looking at right now, we'll just kind of dive in. How I prefer to do this is as I just follow the exact pattern that Bill just said, so we can kind of just map along. What we're looking at initially is BillingQ. This is all of your data, all your billing data synced into BillingQ, which is a cloud native application. So we take all of that data and organize it into two primary areas, matters and contacts or matters and billing contacts. And then we wrap those both around or involve a section called activities. So if we start from the very beginning, we've sent out our pre-bills, we've got the edits back, it's ready to print statements or finalize bills. As soon as we do that in ProLaw, that's when BillingQ would take over. So what seems like a pretty easy process to email bills, once you want to try to automate that, there are some different preferences or as we recall them exceptions that come in order to be really good at automating that. So we have two options of how those bills get sent. If you have the ability to send final bills directly from billing, never any exceptions, and they just automatically go, then that's how it'll be set up. So we'll automatically have a default for the firm. Anytime a new matter is opened in ProLaw, those defaults will come over into BillingQ. When you hit print statements, we're going to take over and just immediately send those out. Now, for those exceptions, if you have any attorneys or lawyers that say, hey, for my bills, I need to review these, or I want to review this matter or this client before they go out. You can do something called a bill queue. Now, this can also be used for the billing department as well. If you just want to take kind of a last once over before those are all released, you can come through and just set up a bill queue. A bill queue can be for one person or it can be for a group of individuals. It can be for a team that works together. And you all receive notifications as soon as things hit the queue. And so I could come through and see, all right, I've got a bill that's getting ready to go out. When I highlight that, it's going to link me to both the client as well as the matter. Down below, what you'll see is it knows who it's from. So you can define who this email is going to come from as a part of the workflow. So if you have attorneys that say, don't send things on my behalf, I want it to come from me, you can have that come from the attorney. What's nice about that as well, the way our integration works is it'll actually be in their sent items. So we're not impersonating that we're sending it from them. We're actually sending it from them. So if a client calls 5 minutes or 10 minutes after they get that email, they can go to their sent items in Outlook and it'll be right there for them. So you can see who it was sent to. So you can send to, of course, multiple people. We can find those people wherever they exist in ProLaw. And then, of course, if we need to copy the attorney or blind copy, we can do that as well. Everything below this is, including the subject line, is all using an email template that the firm can tailor to as much as they would like. These are actually merge fields. So they're merge fields from the data that can be used to build these emails. You can have as many as you would like. You just copy and make the changes yourself. And then you'll notice it exposes or shows the attachment as well. So you should have all the information you need to make the decision of whether or not we want to send this bill out. If I wanted to go through them one at a time, I could and just come over here and hit send, or hey, we need to hold or deny this one because something's wrong. Or I could just spot check a few, highlight them all at once and hit send. And at that point, what we're going to do is keep track of those sent approvals so we know who did it and when it was sent out. And then we're also going to store that activity. You might refer to that as kind of as an event in BillingQ on the activity tab of the matter as well as the client. Anything to add, Bill?
I really love this for when you have attorneys and or their assistants that are the ones that are accustomed to sending the bills out because today you hand them off and you don't know what happened. So keeping the oversight, be able to use the same exact process, whether it's billers inside account inside the accounting department or whether it's being distributed out to attorneys. It's super nice.
Yeah, really all about transparency and collaboration, so we don't lose sight of what's happening, what's going on. You do have additional abilities to see this also. So if I wanted to come through and say, hey, you know what, we have 5 Qs at our firm that are assigned to a bunch of different people. And not only do I want oversight one at a time to know what's being denied or approved, but what if I just wanted to see everything that's kind of out there together? So you can come into a quick little dashboard of email queue. It's going to show us all the pendings, right, that are out there. And this is just one example. Shows us the days, how long have they been holding on to them, who the culprit is. Sorry to pick on Anthony, but it looks like 58 out there that are 3 to 7 days old. What the average per professional is, average days old, and this is customizable. So you can get very creative with this, but it is one quick view or holistic view really to see what's going on for both bills and AR notices and what you how you want to see those.
So a question, if we can send multiple invoices in a single email, which we absolutely can. And so that's part of the workflows that you set up. Your default might be we normally send to the client or the billing contact one email that has if I've got 5 matters, I'm going to have 5 invoices attached to it. But then we also handle the exceptions where, okay, I have normally I have the 5, but in this case they want 4 included on one email and they want one that's treated differently. Might even be emailed to the same person, but they want it on a separate email. And so you can handle all of those kinds of exceptions. You set it up once and then it happens the right way every month.
Good stuff. So the nice thing from a learning curve standpoint is once folks know how to use the billing queue, right? The bill queue that's queuing up all the bills that are going to go out, you treat the exact AR notices the exact same way. So initially, when we came out with Q, maybe it had the AR notices more upfront because typically that's a little bit more sensitive of a subject topic. You know, how are you communicating to my longtime client who happens to owe us money? Initial bills aren't quite as sensitive. We've just done the work. They're expecting it to come to them. We're expecting them to pay that. But so we can queue up AR notices, and as Bill mentioned earlier, there are just a few more exceptions here, right? So you'll have the firm default of every 60 days, but it's every 60 days unless we've sent them a new bill in the last 30 days, or every 60 days, but any of the bills that we're including on this statement of account have to have a certain balance threshold, right? Or it has to be a certain time frame. So there's lots of exceptions. You can have firm defaults. You can override those at the matter or client level. But from an end user standpoint, it works just the exact same way as BillQ does. So in the AR notices, it will just tee all of those up for us. Again, you can choose who that comes from. That can be different for AR than it is for billing. You can see the statement of account, which we'll look at here in a second. And then it's a different email template that's pulling in some balance information and things like this. You can edit this on the fly as well. So we can say, you know, whatever makes sense directly within this email. You don't have to rely on the template, but what a great head start to say, this is what I might say. And then you're just basically not creating, but just changing if there's something that you need to do. You can send all of those in mass as well. You could also deny them in mass, which we're going to keep track of also. So if you're consistently month after month seeing people deny, it's a great indicator of let's go pay attention to that, maybe do some training on that, or figure out what the reason is. But with the ability to apply any type of email template all the way down to the attorney level, as well as manage all the exceptions that could come up, we have a great adoption on the automation side.
And because you can have as many email templates as you need, you can have an email template that for as a default that's specific to a billing attorney that is the language that they would like to use, and then it can be different for a particular client, and you have exceptions all the way down down that list. So getting a billing attorney bought into sending out some level of AR notices is uh, always better than not doing any. And this whole process is so much more efficient than what happens in a lot of firms of where you run an AR report and you talk to the billing attorney and then you go prepare follow-up and you review it with them. Like we set the parameters, put it in the email queue. Ideally, you get to the point where their assistant's just walking it through with them to approve those, because the faster we can make this process and the higher the throughput of AR follow-up, the shockingly the more money we're going to collect.
Yeah, and we don't have to wait until Q4 to do it either, right? We can do it all year, which is nice, have a higher success rate. And I do want to call that out real quick, Bill. That's a good point. So the assistant or the person that's helping the attorney, or maybe the attorney's traveling and they don't have access, or they don't want to have access to their queue, the anybody on their team that's considered a delegate would have the notification and can come in and approve on their behalf. So there should never be a backlog, or if you're just queuing it up for the billing group, if a biller's out and they want to come in and somebody else needs to approve their stuff while it's out, you always have an open system, of course, depending on your security. I do want to call out real quick in activities, you'll notice each of these kind of magnifying glasses or folders, it says My BillQ. All that really means is I can come out and it says, you know, the assigned user is current user, right? Plus the delegates and so on. The reason I wanted to highlight that is you get to build, we of course have defaults, but then you can come in and tailor any of these folders for what you want to see. So anything that you build over to the left will inform the screen on the right. That includes anything you want to see from a contact standpoint or matter standpoint. And automation is obviously the goal, right? BillingQ, we want to queue up the bills and have them sent out automatically, queue up the AR notices. But what if I am somebody in collections or somebody in the bill group and say, hey, we've got to get an AR notice out to this client. They're ready to pay. How does that happen? So you could just come through and, of course, search the client's name, or in this instance, I'm just going to choose my over 90. Maybe I'm just working on some over 90 clients and I just want to send these out. It's very easy to do so. I just have to click this button. I can choose whether it's a client level, so rolling them all up to one, or just a matter AR notice. Once I click on that, it's going to go and choose the correct workflow. It knows who it's from, who it's going to go to, if we're copying anybody, and so on. And then down below, you'll notice it's chosen the right template that I can edit on the fly, but pulled in amounts and different things that we've deemed necessary to show on this. What happens when you click that is it generates an AR notice. So it's the exact same email that we just looked at, but it's building a statement of account for you. So what that means in this instance, must have used this one before. The first page is the statement of account. So just showing the matter and the statement number and the amount, the paid, and so forth. The second page is a table of contents that takes you to the actual bill that was sent out. So we're not managing bill templates. We're not trying to do that. Everything after the first two pages are just the bills in the billing system that we've rolled up together, again, based on preference, if it has to be one per, or if we're bringing those all together. But in times past, to go get, you know, that many bills out of ProLaw, out of Ledger, whether we're downloading them and pulling them into an email or whichever, it's just a really quick way to get a client detailed information about the money that they owe. Within activity of the matter, it's going to show everything that's taken place. So you don't have to come in and manually say, I sent a bill or I sent an AR notice. We're going to automatically capture those things for you. We can capture emails that are saved, different threaded conversations, and so forth. But to hold true to my word, I've got to finish out the invoices to cash piece, right? So we've automated the sending of the bills. We kind of jumped ahead and sent some AR notices as well. But let's just assume that the client wants to pay. That link that's on the email that you see, so directly within the email, it has this link depending on where we want to send them. When the client clicks that, what that's going to take them to is their payment portal. So why we're calling it a portal is because it's theirs. We remember their preferences. So the very first thing that they see, this is an exaggerated example, or hopefully it is when they log in, or not even log in, just click on the link and it's driven by the email of the person who received it. They'll get a listing of all of the bills with outstanding balances. What's nice about this is I can see the matter that I'm paying, I can see the bill number that I'm paying, and so on. We're of course assuming that they're going to just pay the entire thing. Wouldn't that be nice? But if they want to come through and they're just making a payment, or maybe they're just wanting to pay certain invoices, they can come through and we'll keep track of the math for them. The whole goal of the payment portal is to make it extremely easy for your clients to pay you. One way that you do that is not only do you show them the high level view of what they owe, but let's say, hey, I think it was this one I wanted to pay, but I don't remember for sure. I just remember what the bill looked like. So I can pull that up directly at my portal. I can come through and see the detail. I can make a payment directly from here. And when I click on to make a payment, why this is important is because we allow your clients to save their preferred payment method. So if you accept credit cards, that would be exposed here. They can come through, and if they were to add a new credit card, they could say, make this my primary, save this payment method. They have complete control over that. What's really nice, however, though, is you can do and expose the ability to add e-checks or their bank information at the exact same place. And oddly, we've seen an uptick in ACH or e-checks because of the option being available. Because oftentimes when you go to a firm's payment site, you kind of have to choose either one. Like, am I doing trust? Am I just doing a payment? And then when you come in, you have to kind of prove who you are every time, meaning I got to put in my billing address, put in my information, put in my credit card information. We're trying to eliminate that so that our clients have a better and easier payment experience. They will receive a receipt for that payment, right? And then because they're paying individual bills, we have a line by line reconciliation so that we can create the import file to come back into the billing system so that you don't have to manually do that.
So we have a question of do we support Canadian credit cards? And so we support Canadian firms, we support taking payments. We have separate instance of Azure tenant for our Canadian firms. So the data is maintained in Canada, and we accept payments for Canadian firms. A different version of that question would be, if you're a U.S. firm, can you accept payments from someone in Canada or vice versa? And the answer to that is also yes.
Great question. Couple of other things within this. These aren't necessarily static fields, right? You can come in and add some things, change what you want, what information you want to capture. What's really nice is that the exact same payment stream. So if you send them a link to replenish their trust account, so one of the workflows that BillingQ offers is trust replenishment, meaning that you can set what the threshold is and then what the notice amount is, and automatically generate emails similar to bills and AR notices to people that need to add to their trust account. That link takes them to the exact same portal that they're used to going to make payments. On the trust side, they would have exposed all of the matters. From within that, it'll tell the amount due, so they don't have to remember that on their own. And then you'll notice we've stored their preferred payment method. I did fail to mention, if you are in all the states before that you can surcharge, you can turn that on as well. So you have the ability to choose not only if we accept credit cards or not, but if we're passing those fees along, depending on what's possible in your state.
So a question about how we handle PCI compliance, and the great news on PCI is that the bank account and credit card information doesn't flow through our system or through, the firm never has access to it either, which means that neither we nor the firm are exposed to PCI compliance. So that credit card and bank information is tokenized. We don't have access to it. You don't have access to it. You see it coming through on this screen here, but technically the way that it works is it goes directly to the payment processing engine. So it never even passes through our system, which is how we keep both of us out of PCI compliance.
which is a great thing. The other things about the payments, as this is the line by line reconciliation, it's a 1 day turnaround on the payment. We treat all cards the same, so we just have a flat rate for all cards, which is nice, especially if you're surcharging because you could kind of flat rate that as well. But additionally, just being able to not worry if it's a big rewards card or if it's American Express or whichever, we kind of just keep that all equal. And then on the ACH side, we're just a flat $1 as well. So not doing a percentage of the bill or anything like that up to a threshold or sometimes no threshold. Across the board, it's just $1, regardless of the amount.
Yeah. And so in terms of uh, the question about how we're accepting the questions about accepting the credit card amount and how it gets to the firm. And so that gets to a really important issue, which is that we have 1 day deposits. So on payments that are received today, they're going to be deposited and clear your bank tomorrow, both for credit cards and for e-checks. And then we also have the ability to take those payments and put them back into ProLaw automatically because we have the benefit of this. This not only makes it easier for your clients, but it's much easier uh, for your accounting department because this line by line allocation of the payments, we can use that to put the payment back into ProLaw automatically. We can support multiple trust accounts. So if you have different trust accounts for different states or any kind of issue like that, um, or if you're accepting into one trust account and then transferring it later, both options um, are perfectly fine. Another question about setting up payment plans. So yes, we have the ability just to go in and say this client's gonna pay us $500 a month, and we can auto charge that against their credit card or bank account. Um, so that right now is sort of like the base level of payment feature that we have. We have a much more in-depth capability for payment plans coming out fairly soon that lets you have multiple payment plans per client if necessary, and really adds some depth to that. We're getting just all kinds of great questions. I love this.
Love it. Yep.
Um, so international payments outside of North America, um, the only complication with international payments is for e-checks when it's coming from a bank, because e-checks are, really just means an ACH that we're doing through our system as opposed to the client initiating it through their bank. So the only case where we don't get the 1 day deposit is when you get an ACH or when we do an e-check that is for someone whose bank does not participate in ACH. So that's the only, like, if you have a lot of international clients, the one kind of wrinkle that you'll sometimes run into. Those are typically more like 3 to 4 days to clear. Um, and and that's just part of life of banks that don't belong uh, to ACH. Um,
Good stuff.
there was a great question about how we queue the emails up in the first place. And so we recognize that you finalize the bill in ProLaw and we pick up on it automatically. Our default is to queue them up for the following morning so that if you bill something and they need to unbill it and rebill it, but that's a timing that you can choose, and we are we're adding a feature that I don't know, may have recently been released or it's about to come, where you can just go, you can, if the regular time schedule of when we pull them over, if you have a set of bills that you want to just bill right now and get them emailed right away, you can just go hit the button and say pull them now. And however many bills you run. So if you run 150, we're going to grab all 150 at once, put all the emails together, and then those can just go out automatically because you've got the workflow set up and you've been watching them for a while and you're comfortable with it. Or they can go into the email queue. We always start with the email queue so that you can see and verify the emails that are going out. But then over time, as you get really comfortable with it, often there's a set of those that you'd rather just stop looking at because you know what's going to happen and you can just have them go automatically as Ken has described.
I think it is a good point for what controls we provide to the firm, right? So when we're talking about workflow, we can go and dive into the workflow and show you some of the preferences, but we're going to automatically pick up on how you've identified it in ProLaw. And then on the matter or client level, you can always come in and override any firm default. So as Bill mentioned, you could have an email queue. If we have a client that says, hey, never email this person, you just put don't send on them, or we can automatically pick up on that. Separate workflow for AR notices, including whether or not we're creating separate AR notices, PDFs for this matter, and then the trust workflow that we had mentioned earlier, just to highlight a couple of things. So it's not a, hey, we need to call BillingQ rather to help us with this workflow or this email template or something like this. All of these tools are exposed to the firm, and you have the ability to just do it yourself on the fly.
So great question about split billing. If you're already going to the inquiry page there. So this one doesn't have split billing, but you can see there that we show that 100% is going to that billing contact. If you had split billing, whatever the splits are, they would all show up there. We even,
Add one.
I don't know if we have one in our test data here.
Okay,
We need to create one.
good note.
Even if you have the circumstance of split billing where one of those parties has changed over time, we show you all of that. We show you who's the current parties. We show you the old party. We let you choose whether to keep that old AR with the old party or assign it to one of the new parties, which is a very annoying challenge to deal with in split billing. And then, of course, everything that we've just shown here pays attention to the splits. So what you're going to get on the payment screen, the numbers that are going to be in the emails, all of it is aligned with and paying attention to the split billing.
Sometimes we spend so much time on the automation piece that we overlook some of the other data that we're providing. And the inquiry tab is a great example of that, right? So you've got the inquiry tab that's in ProLaw, which is kind of this billing and payment history of batch billed, paid, written off, unapplied cash, things of this nature. You can see trust balance information, bills and payments that have been sent. So it kind of combines ledger and the matter inquiry tab together. And then on top of that, exposes some basic AR and WIP aging information. So you can kind of start to see that story. We've got AR over 90, and it looks like we haven't continued to work on this matter. That's interesting. I wonder what it looks like from a client perspective. You can just click on the client. It's going to roll all of their matters up, and here we can kind of see the same story, except that there's some current AR. So we did do some work at some point. You can see other preferences if you want to get a complete billing and payment history at the client level, kind of see that as well as the bills and things that have gone out the door. One step further than that, and I heard Bill a couple of times say, hey, that's coming and that should be released soon and so forth. We do a great job of listening to clients, and I'll steal Bill's line, but he said, we like to think we're brilliant, but what we're really good at is listening. And one example of that is we had all this data in here. We were providing basic inquiry information. And we had some people say, hey, if you have all of our data, what else could you do with it? So directly within here, if I wanted to get a deeper look into inquiry, I can just hit this pi symbol, all right, and come through. And then now I can see a complete aging. This is only 1 year. We can look at a more exotic example, but WIP, billed, paid, written off. I can come out and just highlight paid information. And now it's going to show me a 5-year tracking of everything that's been paid on this matter, right? And if 5 years is a little too much to digest, I can just shorten that amount of time. So now we'll just digest a couple of years, and maybe I only care about myself. So I'm just going to come through and double click on my name. See, they're very responsive. We're not calling back to ProLaw to get this information. We're using the sync that we did 15 minutes ago to grab it all. So you can see all the way down to the transaction level what is happening and occurring and get some averages and so forth. The other nice thing is this is customizable, so you can have dashboards that make sense for you to see at both the matter and the client level. And then it's very easy to get out. So if I needed to send this over on a routine basis or one-time basis as a PDF, or I need to get it to Excel or just as an image, very easy to work with the data. And that's also true just in the grid form also. So as we're building these saved queries is probably a good way to think about that. We're building these saved queries. Anything that's exposed over here to the right, you can quickly just export that as a report. So CSV or Excel. So if we ever need to see and get data or provide that to somebody, it's a pretty easy vehicle to be able to do so.
Yeah, we got a couple of great questions about e-billing. So we really kick in for e-billing when you get to the collections process, because I kind of think of e-billing as like there's the fully true e-billing where everything's being handled and handled well through the ELM through your client's portal. And then there's e-billing where you're submitting it, and then you have kind of a normal collections process after that. And so we have a lot of our firms that do e-billing that use us for the collections follow-up on that e-billing. The enhancement that we're working on is to pull in, if you're using e-billing hub or Bill Blast, to pull in you need to be set up for the nightly download of information from from EBH, so that we can import that and have that status information updated when you're looking at it in BillingQ. And there was also a great question about matters that are not monthly billed, which could be the examples in the question are, probate, contingency, happens in, real estate closings. And so it's the generating the bill or, when you have uh, any kind of closing based matter from in terms of what we pick up on, it's still sort of the same process of finalizing that in ProLaw. And so we're going to reflect the WIP and track that over time, but nothing's going to happen from a collections or AR standpoint until it turns into such in ProLaw. So we're picking up on it on the same basis that the ProLaw does.
Good stuff. Is that our questions for now?
We're getting close to caught up. Can you show billing by client rather than by matter? Yes. So we've been doing a lot of matter examples here, and a lot of it has to do with kind of how your billing works. Are you more client or matter oriented? And so what you see here in contacts is really billing contact. And in a lot of cases, that's as simple as it rolls up to your client. But we're really talking about the billing party in ProLaw. And so that can be different than the client, but that's what we really mean when we say client level billing. And so all the things that Ken has been doing at the matter level, you can do at the billing contact or client level. And very common for the emails going out to be at a client level and attaching, we have one email going to the client and we're attaching all of the invoices to that one email.
Good stuff. So, but what if Bill, just as another example, that's great to see stuff at the client level and the matter level, but what if I wanted to see like a group of matters together, or maybe all of my matters or something like that. So that would take us into another great idea that one of our clients had. Any search that you build over here to the left. So if I wanted to go see over 90, or if I just wanted to go look at my matters, and if I just want to look at my matters and I want to see reporting just for my matters. So I'm logged in as Kelly Ward. These are my current matters or my matters based on the search. I can come in and just highlight and change that grid view into a dashboard view. And then you'll notice some just different examples that we've put together up top. This is just a simple matter count, right? I can come through and do a quick realization. I'll always pause here because I know Bill likes to talk about this one, but this is a 5-year look at the group of matters that we just searched on that I can see realization on. I can obviously impact this by shortening the amount of time that I want to look at, and then it will redraw based on what I've done. And this is just kind of grouped, showing work, billed, and paid, but you can see those individually and kind of dive down deeper into the data as well.
Yeah, so this is what we call data queue, which is sort of the third piece, leverages all this data that we're already pulling over because we're really maintaining the data warehouse of all of your billing information out of ProLaw. This is one of my favorite dashboards, just being able to see this kind of realization information across all three phases visually across the years. Just a great way to pick up on patterns and understand what's happening. The uh, lockup dashboard is one of my favorites, and our test data only makes sense when you pull the time frame in, and then it still only makes a little bit of sense. But this is a KPI that we really pay a lot of attention to because, of course, this is our goal, is to reduce the amount of lockup. So we help with WIP a little bit because we compress the billing cycle, and then we really want to reduce the amount of lockup in AR by making this whole process more efficient. So, question about the data for data queue. Yeah, this is however far your data goes back in ProLaw. So it's not based on when you start uh, using BillingQ. It's whatever's in ProLaw. We're pulling, we're pulling all that history over. Most of our so our dashboards have the ability to either go back 2 years or 5 years, depending on the kind of dashboard. But if you have that much history in ProLaw, then it's going to is going to show up.
So
Another
that's
great
got
question about realization by attorney. And so, in fact, that realization report that we were just looking at, um, if we pop that back up, there's a little drop down there that lets you pick the attorney. So you can look at multiple attorneys at once, or you can look at just one. Um, the the thing about dashboards is that, and we're doing a lot of work on dashboards right now, but it there's almost always customization for the dashboards. So we're constantly building better dashboards to put in the defaults. We have a fairly large release for DataQ that is that's just about to come out that has some new dashboards attached to it. Can show you what it's like to go in and edit one of those dashboards. So it's much more realistic than changing SSRS reports. There's definitely a technical level of expertise needed. But if you can create SSRS reports, then you'd have a whole lot more fun working on on these dashboards.
So I have a question for you, Bill. Um, to get all that data out of ProLaw and to inform all these dashboards and to have all that, that must take a long time, right?
Man, what a setup! Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's amazing how, because we fully automated the sync with ProLaw. Depends on the size of your firm and your history, but it's somewhere between an hour and 3 hours to do the initial sync, and then we update every 15 minutes. So you're seeing near real time info here, uh, which is it's actually pretty incredible.
Yeah, and the best part about that is that obviously just pigtails directly into implementation. So we're not asking you to sit with us for 6 months before we prove out that we can save 3 to 4 days or five sometimes off your billing cycle, getting bills out, or that we can dramatically increase your AR, or just provide additional information and things that we're tracking. This is a very quick process. I think, as Steph Odom, if you know her, says, somewhere around 14 hours of firm time, kind of start to finish. There's some IT time built into that. And then as Bill said, it's an initial sync of 1 to 3 hours. So you can prove it out really quickly, which, having done, full enterprise like billing systems for 18 years prior to this, or 22 years, however long that was, it's really nice to be able to say within 30 days, on the high side, you'll be able to receive benefit and see your data within here, and be utilizing all of the functionality that we're showing today.
Yeah, we really focus on getting the low hanging fruit, getting you time back as uh, as quickly as possible. We want to save you more time than we use up even in month one.
Good stuff. Do you, I know we've got about 12 minutes left here. Bill, do you want to take back over on that, or is there other software we need to dive into? I would encourage you guys, if you want to see even more specifics, or look at the workflows or the email templates, or how security works, or any of that, we of course do these one-on-one, and kind of tailor them to your specific needs, but really good high-level overview of what we're tackling for firms today.
Yeah, we've got a few more questions. So
Right?
version limitation for ProLaw. So what version do we need to be on?
Past 11. Right? So V11 came out in 2005. So it's past 11. I don't know version number beyond that. There's some like SQL versions, right? That you need to be on. You want me to pull that up?
Yeah, it's in our system requirements.
Yeah, we don't hide it from you. I just don't have it memorized. Let's go through here and see. Um, yeah, everything that we talk about and expose is basically here. Um,
Yeah,
all
so
right,
that's what it was. Yeah, it's 2016. Yeah.
2016 plus. Okay, so we're still got a good 9 year window for versions.
So questions about how the uh, how matters are set up, and so because of that sync, we're picking up on new information automatically, and and we can set up the sync so that it pays attention to information you already have in ProLaw for defining workflows. So a great example in the question was, what about e-billing? So that, that's a perfect one because we want to mark that as don't send for bills so that you don't have to mess with that. If you have custom fields or other things in ProLaw that we can pick up on that we can use to set workflows, then we have the ability to pick up on those things automatically. We can pull custom fields over. So if you have a custom field for a client reference number that you need to include in emails, we just bring that over as part of the sync, and it's available to you as one of the merge fields um, for email templates. So learning curve, we kind of talked about this with the implementation. Um, it's so you always have us to rely on for help, um, but we really want you to be able to set up email templates yourself, set up workflows, so that you just have the power to do that anytime it comes up. You run across a new exception, you can just go set it up. But we have a all US based support team that is always available to help you with it. Just the included in that 14-hour implementation project is the training to get up to speed. So it's 3 or 4 hours of training. So it's not a big learning curve. It's pretty darn easy. A lot of our pro law firms actually open up BillingQ to other people in the firm to come in and just because it's just so easy to go search for matters, contacts. If you want them to have access to financial information, depending on their role, look up AR balances by matter. Like, it's just very easy to expose that to folks, and it's an easy thing to open up and give people access to. And then the things they see on the left are very limited to just what's important to them. So when we talk about like a billing attorney's assistant sending out, approving emails to go, it could be when you first start, like literally the only thing that person sees is my bill queue. Like there's nothing else on the left-hand side. That's it. And then maybe later you just add my matters. So there's only two things, my matters and my bill queue. And that's all they have access to, or maybe my matters and my contacts because you're more client oriented. So you have control over all of those things. That's
Yeah.
just a lot of really great questions. I love it. There's a really detailed question about retainer deposits into the operating account going to unapplied cash instead of trust. Um, so you can define which account by matter retainer deposits go into. So you can certainly deposit them into your operating account. I've been trying to think through how that's going to work if we put the payment in automatically. I'm going to have to find that out. But the core thing of putting retainer deposits into the operating account, yes, we can do that.
You would think that it would just go to unapplied cash if there weren't any bills to apply it to.
Well, that's what I would think. I want to,
Verify it.
yeah, that's what should happen.
That's what you're here for. Good stuff.
Anything else you wanted to cover, Ken?
I don't think so. We looked at queuing up bills, queuing up AR notices, how we track the activities. We didn't go too deep into that, and I do overlook that sometimes, but the activities are automatically inserted for you. But you can also always add notes or assign tasks to other people, things like that. The whole system has a notification system that's wrapped around it so we can see things if we turn them on. So which emails are waiting for us, emails that have been sent, the different activities that have been assigned to me or that I've assigned to someone. And then within activities, not only do you have those queues, but individuals can come through and see all of my open tasks that I need to go work on. So you can do full collections out of BillingQ as well. So not only take advantage of the automation, but use it to manage your collection efforts, your collection activities, and then have all of that detail automatically captured within activities at both the client and matter level. But that's it, Bill. No, nothing else.
Excellent. Well, I love all of the interactions and questions, and Colleen is going to answer the unapplied cash question for us. It's preference setting to allow unapplied cash. Yep. So that's what's going to make that work out the way it should. So it is really fun doing these when we get all kinds of great questions. So we appreciate you being here and being so engaged and interactive. So thank you.
And have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, everybody.